Time for the 49ers Rush Podcast.
Oh, man, it's time. I've waited far too long to be able to do one of these scouting report episodes where we just dive into another team, how we think this game's going to go. And I'm pumped. I hope you're excited too, because we're going to learn all about the Bears, the good and the bad, even some of the 49ers stuff with some predictions. We're going to have some bets of the week as well. And I want to say thank you to Coach Cruz, the man who gave us a second pair of eyes on this to break down this game as deep and intel as hopefully we can do out there. Coming from the coaching world, we used to do these same things against our opponents, and we would dive into everything we could find. And so that's the idea. You would prep your team, and you would do a full scouting report, and you'd say, these are the players we need to watch out for. These are the plays, all that kind of different stuff. So 49ers versus Bears, week 1, Lance versus Fields. Man, there's so much here. Now, it's interesting because you can't just really start with where we are right now. This was the matchup everybody wanted last year. Week 8, 49ers were 2-4, about to be basically done with their whole season. And that Bears game was the turning point. But that was Jimmy G versus Justin Fields. You want to see Lance versus Fields. You just want to see that. And we didn't get to last year. Now, Lance did start 2 games, 10 total quarters worth of playing time. But this time he takes the field as QB1. And Jimmy Garoppolo's on the bench. Trey Lance is in the game. Has there ever been any more criticism of a young quarterback? Not that I could think of. Not from their own fan base who are, Jimmy loyalists or Mac Jones truthers or whatever. Fill in the blank. It's been fun. And so I'm just so excited for what's going on right here. Now let's dive into what the Bears looked like last year. They were 6-11, very bad football team. 22nd points allowed out of 32 teams. Awful. 27th points scored out of 32 teams, right? So they're not good at defense. They're not good at offense. I don't think a lot of that changes. If we look at a per snap analytics basis, here's the Bears ranks last year. 26th overall. Team, special teams, offense, defense, all that. Offense 23rd, defense 27th, special teams 6th. Yeah, so they did have something, but I think they took a huge step back in special teams. We'll get to that. Now, in contrast, what were the 49ers last year? Well, again, overall 5th, offense tied for 3rd, defense tied for 7th, special teams 21st. So it's totally different. There's no doubt about it, but it's a whole new regime. Different everything for the Chicago Bears. First-time head coach, Matt Eberflus, one of the coolest names ever. He was the Colts defensive coordinator for the past 3 years. Bears did finish 3-0 in preseason and looked very, very good doing it, which was awesome. Now, if you want to see a little bit more of the visual representation of what the Bears did in the preseason, you got to head to our Patreon, because we are doing a coaching step-by-step breakdown with 49ers Cutback on the all 22 of what the Bears are going to try to get done to the 49ers. So if you want to see that, just go to patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. That's available for all Steve Young and up tiers. We got lots of different options. And to remind you, after the game, obviously we go live after the game, which I'm excited about. I love those post-game celebrations or therapy sessions if the Niners don't come on top. But we will be going over every offensive, defensive, and special team snaps on Patreon. That's a Frank Gore tier. So everybody gets that. So if you want to know more about the game after the fact, that's where you get that. Trust me, you sign up on Patreon, you're going to like it. If you don't, we got you. We will refund everything. Now, both teams have some injuries. There's no doubt about it. The 49ers, Jimmy Ward being out is probably about as big as it can get. McGlinchey's been banged up, but looking good. Daniel Brunskill's not looking promising, and the 49ers just added another very core player to their injury list, George Kittle, with a groin strain. Here's Shanahan talking about it briefly at practice.
I'm not sure. I was hoping to be good today. Did it a little on Monday and not feeling good today, so we'll have to see day by day.
Day by day, not great. I would say pay attention to the days. If he suits up and gets a just limited practice in on Friday, then I think he plays. If he doesn't, he's going to be out. Now, the good news with that, you got 4 tight ends, most in the NFL, on your active roster. And you just brought Troy Fumagalli back, who was with us during the preseason to the practice squad. So I don't think you lose this game because George Kittle's out. A tight end is a position of strength for the 49ers, especially blocking wise. Now, maybe a little bit of those receiving big plays that Kittle can bring, but let's be honest, we haven't really seen Kyle Shanahan scheme those up in quite a while. Oren Burks, who is our fourth linebacker, questionable, bigger special teams guy. Ambry Thomas, questionable, but I think he's going to be fine as well. So those are kind of the biggest issues out there. Now we go to the Bears, and really just a bad roster to start with, but their wide receivers are all questionable. Now, the good news is I don't ever want players to be out for injury, even if it ensures the 49ers winning. I want the 49ers to win because they're the better team. I want to play people at their full strength. Byron Pringle, who's a starter for this offense, probably their slot guy, he's questionable, but he did practice Monday. Velus Jones, rookie starter, questionable, but he did practice Monday. Their center, Lucas Patrick, who they got over, I think, from the Packers, he's questionable, but he did practice Monday. So I think they're all going to play, but in a bad wide receiver core, Tajay Sharp and N'Keal Harry, who they traded for, both on IR. So they're shallow. Dante Pettis shallow, and we'll talk a little bit about that in the connections coming up shortly. Now, the history of the matchup, 49ers and Bears have actually played a lot of times. They've played, the 49ers lead the series. 49ers have 35 wins, 32 losses, and 1 tie. It's close. The history of this matchup's close. The 49ers have won 5 out of the last 8 and 11 out of the last 17, which again, I think it tells the story of how bad the Bears have been. They had those 2 couple good years with Urlacher back in the day, and 1 good year with, when they traded for Khalil, which he's gone now. And they've just been bad. It's just a lot of bad quarterback play. And I think Fields will overturn that. Now, the matchup last year was awesome. We were able to go there. We had the 49ers Rush road trip there. We're doing it again this week. But last year was interesting because, again, as I said, 49ers were dead last in the NFC West going into that game. 2-4, tied with Seattle. But the 49ers came out on top. 33-22. Jimmy Garoppolo had a very interesting game. 17 of 28, 322 yards. 85 of those were on a screen pass to Debo where he just took it the distance. Got tackled on the 1-inch line, right? So I guess not totally different. And Garoppolo had 2 rushing touchdowns. It was a Chicago game, man. Fields had his best game. Not necessarily passing. Fields went 19 for 27, 175 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But he also rushed for 103 yards and a touchdown and had some major 3rd and long conversion plays that were just kind of spectacular, lack of a better word. Mitchell, he went 18 for 137 yards, 1 touchdown. Elijah Mitchell. Herbert had a good game, 23 rush attempts, 72 yards. Debo, 6 catches, 171. Mooney, 6 catches, 64 yards. And the Bears really controlled the time of possession. 37 minutes to the 49ers 23. Not ideal. David Montgomery, probably their best offensive player. He didn't even play for Chicago. But listen to the guys the 49ers missed last year. Aziz, out. Greenlaw, out. Kinlaw, out. Our kicker, Robbie Gould, out. Kittle was out last year. He might not play this week. He didn't play against them last year either. So a lot of guys that were out. Now, both teams, the Bears and the 49ers, have added a lot of players. None like the Bears, though. Good gosh. Talk about roster turnover. They've got 5 projected starters that they got in the draft. Now, similar to the 49ers, who traded up for quarterbacks in the prior year's draft, 49ers traded up for Trey Lance. Bears traded up for Justin Fields. They didn't have a first-round pick. Neither did we. Didn't stop them from, again, projected starters. Kyler Gordon, cornerback, 2nd round, who I loved. He's going to be starting corner. Jaquan Brisker, 2nd round, who I liked. He's going to be started. Velus Jones, 3rd round. Thought that was a big reach, but he's starter for him. This one's probably the biggest. Braxton Jones, 5th round offensive tackle pick. And it's not all right. I'm not bagging on small school players. I love small school players. Trey Lance, right? Some of that stuff. He played at Southern Utah, the Fighting Thunderbirds. He's starting at left tackle. That's not great against Nick Bosa. So you go from starting Southern Utah, your 5th round pick. Now your first game starting at left tackle is against Nick Bosa. That right there alone is probably the one matchup where it's like, oh my gosh, that this could be catastrophic. It could be catastrophic for the entire game. They also got a punter, Trenton Gill, in the 7th round, who's now their starting punter. A free agency, they added a bunch. Nicholas Morrow from the Raiders. He's going to be the Sam backer. Al Quadrin Muhammad from the Colts, starting defensive end. Lucas Patrick from Green Bay, starting center. Claimed Alex Leatherwood from the Raiders. He's going to be kind of the backup Daniel Brunskill role. I'm not sure he's going to get much playing time. He just got brought on. And Brian Pringle from the Chiefs. So that's 8 new starters, right? You've got 22 starters, 11 and 11. I did count the punter, so you can throw that in there as well. But that's a third of a new freaking team starting wise. And the problem is this: none of them are premier level talent. Even if some of those draft picks pan out as studs, none of them were top tier draft picks. None of them were first rounders. You look at the free agents, none of those guys were prize free agents. The Bears are rebuilding their entire team. And this is not that they're tanking, but they're freeing up cap space. They're freeing up draft capital to build for the future. Bears are not, they're even rebuilding their stadium and changing the location of their stadium and all those things. So this is 100% just build for the future. They're not expecting any returns this year. They're trying to figure out if Justin Fields can be their guy. Now, the 49ers have added players too. Spencer Burford, 4th rounder. Samuel Womack, 5th rounder. And if you want to talk trash on their 5th round tackle, well, guess what? Our 4th round guard, UTSA. Small schools come across, and that's okay. If you're looking at, added depth, Charvarius Ward from the Chiefs, Ray McLeod. I don't think he's a starter, more of a punt returner. He'll be kind of that 4th wide receiver, maybe 3rd wide receiver ahead of Juwan Jennings, but I think they're going to kind of rotate. Now, let's dive in and let's talk about this defense, this coaching staff. What is it that makes them good? Now, let's let Trey Lance, the quarterback, QB1, he was asked, man, what is it about the Bears defense? What do you see? What are your thoughts?
Real sound. They all play together, play very hard. Real talented defense. Some guys, just looking at the depth chart. I mean, some guys the names that pop up that have been playing the game, at a really high level for a long time. So real talented defense, and a few young guys, especially in the secondary, who are talented players.
They got talent. They are sound. Alan Williams, who is his first year as defensive coordinator, you're going to hear that a lot. First year head coach, first year DC, first year OC. It's very abnormal. The youth movement is taking place in the NFL coaching range, which I like, but this is pretty extreme. And I think a lot of it is because the expectations are so low. These are all home run swings. So they're going to see who works and who doesn't. He came over with Eberflus. He was with the Colts as a defensive coach, came over. Okay, let's talk about what the Bears have, because very few stars, but they do have stars. They have 3 stars really on their defense, really just 2. Robert Quinn, 18 and a half sacks last year. That's freaking more than Bosa. He was incredible. He was absolutely insane. That matchup of Trent Williams versus Robert Quinn is going to be awesome. Now, as good as Robert Quinn was, is he as good as Trent Williams? No. Does that mean he'll beat him on one of the 60-plus snaps? Yeah, probably. He'll probably win a handful. He's a great player. But Trent Williams, I'm going Trent Williams on that one. Roquan Smith, one of the best linebackers in the game, especially whenever it comes to guarding the pass. Maybe not. He leaves something lacking in run support, but as far as like speed, agility, getting out in the pass, he's great. There's no doubt about that. And then Eddie Jackson, who's been around for a while, but he's a damn good player. He was a 4th round pick, but he continues to kind of show out. That's their defense. That's really all they got. Now, if we look at the weaknesses to oppose the strengths of the Bears defense, there's not any proven pieces really at all. Gordon and Brisker, I like. They're talented, but it's potential. They're young. Kind of like some of our potential guys. Yeah, Womack I like. Yeah, Spencer Burford I like. Banks I like. But you haven't seen them do it in a real game. So that's going to be interesting. And again, if you're just looking at Gordon and Brisker, they're two prized, kind of secondary guys. They're going up against Debo and Ayuk. Does anybody want these two young, improving guys going up against somebody like Debo? I don't think so. I mean, if you just go position by position, you're going to have a pretty damn hard time finding one area of strength that the Bears have over the 49ers. Now, maybe the sum of their parts is greater than the individual pieces, but I'm just not seeing it. They do run a 4-3. And, if you're just looking at, again, just breaking down the coaching tape from the preseason and the Colts last year, kind of like what Trey said, expect to see a lot of cover 3, single high safety early. They like to get that extra man in the box on running downs. Second down, 2 high safeties into quarters. So very similar to what the 49ers do. In the red zone, it seemed like almost every snap that I watched was 2-man, where you have your 2 high safeties and everybody else is playing man. So it's interesting for sure. You got to neutralize Quinn, get a hat on Smith, and you should be able to run the ball against this front 7 if you're the 49ers. You should be able to. If they commit 8, then you got to take advantage with your studs. And it's not so much even taking advantage over the top. Get the ball out into the flats and allow Debo or Ayuk or Kittle, if he plays, to get that drop step, make some missed tackles, and get out there. I think those are some options that, you got to see. And I really hope that they do take place. Now, we're going to be out there, which I'm excited about. And man, if you haven't yet, head to 49ersrushroadtrip.com. Come party with us, man. We have sold out the Chicago tailgate. So if you are one of those people that did not get your tickets yet, that's okay. Guess what? We're doing trips like crazy everywhere. Everywhere the 49ers go, we're going to be there. You can just check out that schedule. 49ersrushroadtrip.com. You can head over there. We got Navarro Bowman coming out the next trip, right? So if you look at Denver, you get to meet Navarro Bowman, hang out, get an autograph, all those different things. We got an amazing tailgate set up for the Broncos game as well. We have 2 events for every single away game, and I'm trying to add 1 home game. If you're somebody that can help out with tailgating, I can cover all the finances, everything. I just need somebody that has a grill and can tailgate and get to the stadium and cook. I can cover everything else. Reach out to me, 49ers Rush Podcast at gmail.com. Now, let's talk about the offense for the Bears. Brand new offensive coordinator. I mean, right? We've said that before. Luke Getsy. So first year, he was the Packers quarterback coach and passing game coordinator. And so he's going from Aaron Rodgers to Fields. Maybe he can get some of that untapped potential, but here we go. Guess what? He is a part of the Shanahan tree. So if we look at this and kind of what is available there, you have Shanahan, then you had LaFleur, and under LaFleur, you got Luke Getsy, because he was brought in when LaFleur was hired. So he's a LaFleur guy. So a Shanahan type disciple, twice removed, or however, that works with the family tree. But that's everything about this entire team. That's the Bears. Shanahan light, 49ers light, defense, 49ers light, special teams. They got our old coordinator. Offense, it's a copy of a copy. And because it's a brand new coaching staff, because it's a brand new system, because you got so many new players, it's going to be very elementary. It really, really is. I mean, the 49ers are operating at a level 400 class. Meanwhile, the Bears are at a level 100 introductory class. Just different. Now, similar to the Niners, they go heavy early. A lot of 12, 21, 22 early personnel where they use lots of tight ends, fullback. They use a fullback, which is awesome, which means the 49ers are predominantly going to be in their 4-3 set, probably a little bit more than a lot of other games. What that means is you've got your 3 stud linebackers, and it takes a little bit of pressure off your rookie starter, Samuel Womack. So you're going to have a little bit more Azeez Al-Shire out there, a little less Womack. Now, Womack's still going to play because obviously in the NFL, if it's second and long or third and long, that's where you start to see the spread, the 4 wide, all that. Then we'll get our nickel back out there. But I think it's probably going to be a 40% 4-3 game for the 49ers, a 60% nickel package game, which usually it's as high as 78% nickel. It's very simple. Both teams are going to do the same thing. Establish the run early, play action early, try to stay ahead of the chains. And the worst thing, like if the Bears were to win this game, I think the single stat that I would look at is how many 3rd and 6 or longer did they have? If the Bears are at 3rd and 7 or longer repeatedly, this game's going to get out of control. Just for it to get close, they've got to win 1st and 2nd down and have manageable plays where it's not just telegraphed that it's going to be a pass play. Because if they keep doing that, I don't give a damn how much Justin Fields runs for, 100+ yards, don't care. He's going to take a beating. And those sacks, they're going to add up. Penalties, they're going to add up. 3rd and long is key for the 49ers defense. So win those downs early. You got to earn the right, to rush the passer, as D'Amico Ryan says all the time. So you've got to earn it. You've got to earn it. So that's what's going to be huge. Now, their strengths, Fields. He's young, but we saw it last year. He lit up the 49ers. Now, it wasn't consistent, it wasn't the whole game, but if you just cut the 5 or 6 best plays, you're just saying, oh my God, this kid's got it. Can he be consistent with it? Can he eliminate those hits by holding on the ball for so long? I would echo the same thing for Trey Lance as well. So David Montgomery, he's an absolute stud. Cole Kmet, I really, really like as a tight end. Tight ends take a while to develop, not named George Kittle. But one of my favorite matchups on this side of the ball is Kmet versus Warner. I'm excited about that. I really hope they don't put safeties on Kmet. I want to see Fred Warner on Kmet. That's what I want to see. Darnell Mooney is their guy. But again, I'd take Emmanuel Mosley over him. I would take Charvarius Ward over him. I like Mooney, and he'll have some success. There's no doubt about it. But for him to be a number 1 in this league is rough. He's good. He's a good player, but I'd take Ayuk over him, right? Our number 2. Weaknesses, oh my gosh. Offensive line, it might be the worst in the NFL. Again, we talked about Braxton Jones, 5th round left tackle, getting his first start. Cody Whitehair, okay? Their guard, who's a captain, he is a beast. 2nd round pick back in 2016, K-State. I like him a lot. They got a new center. I wish he was on the Niners because I think he's better than what we got, Lucas Patrick. But then Tevin Jenkins, 2nd round pick last year. They tried to trade him, couldn't. They move him to right guard. We'll see. Then at right tackle, you got Larry Burham, 5th round pick again from last year from Missouri. Not great. They do not have a good O-line. 49ers O-line freaking dominates them in comparison. So offensive line's bad. Fields going to be running for his life. Bosa could have a career day. It just doesn't look good. Now, that's offense, defense, special teams. Let's let Shanahan start the conversation talking about the emphasis that they put this offseason on special teams.
I think we added some players that I think will help. There's no doubt about that. Just getting some guys like getting Burks, getting George. Those are guys who have had a lot of success in this year. And I also think the guys in front of him, for the most part, I mean, it was tough with Jimmy, but being able to stay healthy and allowing those guys to stay in special teams roles is, to me, the biggest deal. I thought that's where we struggled a lot last year, and it's kind of a trickle-down effect.
They went with Richard Hightower as their special teams coordinator, who has been awful. He's been so bad. I just don't understand why they did that. The 49ers are going to have literally every advantage. And if they lose this game, it's because of turnovers, it's because of penalties, and it's because of explosive plays. That's what it's got to be. Now, this is fun. Coach Cruz found these, and so I want to say shout out to him. Interesting connections, because I love this, man. I love the interweavings of the NFL and kind of how everything comes together. N'Keal Harry, who's on IR, sadly, him and Ayuk were wide receivers together at Arizona State back in 2018. Ayuk kind of took his spot once it was all said and done. Then you've got the whole Justin Fields versus Trey Lance draft pick conversation, plus Dante Pettis, the cat himself, who I freaking fell in love with in the draft process, and unfortunately just never had it between the ears. And I know Bears fans and preseason games he has showed out, but at some point you got to catch the ball when the lights are on and when the hits are coming hot. He's never been able to show that. This is his 3rd NFL team. So I hope he catches on. I just hope he doesn't have a good game against us. Also, There are a lot of Notre Dame connections. Cole Kmet, their starting tight end, he was there at Notre Dame with Mike McGlinchey and Aaron Banks. They like kind of all overlapped one after the other. And also Equanimeous St. Brown was there as well with McGlinchey and Kmet. So lots of ties there. Brock Purdy, who I don't think will be active this week. He was a freshman at Iowa State when David Montgomery was in his last season. Now, Purdy started as a freshman, so they have some stuff there. And rookie Bears tight end, Chase Allen, he was also at Iowa State at the same time. So a lot of overlap with these teams. And then let's go Georgia Bulldogs. Go Dogs. Roquan Smith and Charlie Warner, who might be starting at tight end, they went against each other almost their entire career at Georgia. Inside, it's what it was. Also, at that same time, Justin Fields was in Georgia as well. So there's just a lot there. The overlaps are fun. It's important to the players because they're texting each other and talking trash and making bets and all those things during this week lead up to the game, which us as well making bets with MyBookie. As the Bills and Rams prepare to kick off the NFL regular season, now is the time to prepare for your winning season at MyBookie. And again, whether you're a veteran bettor or first-timer, MyBookie gets you the most for your money with a double deposit bonus. It's quick and easy. Let's say you deposit $250, that puts $500 in your account. And you can use your funds to bet instantly on games, contests, props, whatever you want. So to claim your bonus, there's a few ways you can do it. Head to mybookie.ag, use promo code 49ers, 49ERS, to get that double deposit bonus, or just click on this little QR code to the right of my face if you're watching this podcast. And again, bet on team win totals, predict a Super Bowl winner, all those different things. So head to MyBookie. Your winning season starts today, exclusively at MyBookie. Now, the 49ers have found their way and fought their way up to the largest spread of the week. I mean, according to the people in the desert, they are saying this is the most overwhelming lopsided matchup because there are some other 7-point spreads. 49ers are -7 on the road. Usually the road team the home team gets 3 points. 49ers are -7. So Vegas is saying the 49ers are at least 10 points, double digits better than the Bears. And I think that's accurate. They were the second or third highest whenever it started, but the money keeps going on the 49ers side. It's a little too rich for my blood, the 7-point spread. I'm staying away from that, but I think there's some other ways that you can make money on this. And again, I'll put this on there again. We share all of our bets over on Patreon. I'll share some bets on here, but like the player prop bets, I usually wait till the night before or the day before to get them because I want to know what the practice report is on those days. So I'm not going to share too many of those on here, but if you want to see what we're doing, patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast, or just Google 49ers and Patreon and join us over there. I'm very transparent. And whenever I lose, anything I talk about betting wise, my money goes on. I don't bet a lot though. I do mostly bet, $5 to $20 per bet. That's it. Anyway, having said that, I'm not betting the spread, but me and Coach Cruz, the over under, it's 41.5 points. I just cannot find a way for this to go high. I just can't see it. Plus, there's a 40% chance of rain. Both teams want to run the ball. The strength of both teams is defense. I just don't see how this is going to get out of hand. So I'm taking the under 41.5 points. Bet 5 to win $4.5. And on top of that, my second bet that I'll share here, this is the big reason why I'm going under. I can't see the Bears breaking 17 points. I just can't see it. And so I bet the Bears under 16.5 points, bet 5 to win 4.5 again there. So again, you can amplify that however you see fit. But I've got the 49ers winning this game. And, we'll do some extra stuff this week as some more information comes out. But I've got the 49ers winning 23-13. Low scoring. It's going to be a boring game, ladies and gentlemen. And what I mean by that is heavy rush attempts, a lot of punts, a lot of field goals. It's going to be battle of the kickers. And that's not a bad thing because as long as this game just kind of stays low key, 49ers got this. So I have them covering the spread, but it's a little too rich week 1 on the road with the weather. I'm just going to stay out of that. But I do think it's going to be under. So again, I've got 49ers winning 23-13. Again, if you do the math, that's 36 points. So I've got them, 5 points considerably underneath the overall over under there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. And again, if you want to dive into more of the advanced concepts, all 22 scheme, all that, we got that for you over on Patreon with 49ers Cutback. Again, just patreon.com/49ers Rush Podcast. I'm so pumped. And if you are coming out to Chicago, man, come say what's up. We got parties at the NOLA Bar and Kitchen right by Wrigley on Saturday at 4 p.m. Unfortunately, we did sell that event out, but come stop by. If you want to have a drink and just hang out and stuff, probably won't be able to take part in all the festivities, the giveaways, the trivia, the live show, all those competitions, what we got going on, some crazy competitions for 49ers memorabilia. But the tailgate, even though that's sold out, you can still come party with us as well. All you got to do is just bring your own drinks, your own food. We are over in the Adler lot next to the planetarium before and after the game. So after the 49ers win, come join us. It's going to be an absolute blast. I'm so pumped about this week. 49ers football is happening, baby. And I've got the 49ers coming out on top. Hopefully you enjoyed today's show. Hit that subscribe button. And until next time, stay strong, faithful.